Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, dear colleagues. The Asia Pacific Evaluation Association is delighted to welcome you to its August webinar entitled Engaging Parliamentarians for Evaluation, Insights from Mongolia and Nepal. We are delighted to have a very rich audience today, and we will start now, straight away. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ada Ocampo. I am currently the president of IDEAS. IDEAS stands for International Development Association. I will be your moderator today. In my capacity of moderator, I would like to remind you some important rules. Please keep your microphone and video disabled, and with the aim to lessen load on your internet bandwidth and also to preserve the event quality. For questions and concerns, we kindly ask you to write them in the chat. I will keep an eye all the time in the chat, and I will be aware of your questions and concerns. Please do not record during the webinar. The webinar is being recorded, and APEA will share the recording of this webinar through the APEA website. Without further ado, let me introduce a person that is very well known. I'm sure everybody knows him, but let me formally introduce him. I would like to introduce Dr. Acela Kalugampitia. He is the director of the Center for Evaluation, University of Sri Jayewardenepura of Sri Lanka. Acela is also former president of APEA, and we welcome him for opening remarks. Acela, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ada. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, wherever you are coming from. And warm welcome again for this webinar, Engaging Parliaments for Evaluation, Insights from Mongolia and Nepal. I think this is really timely and important webinar. The reason is that the challenges the world is facing, evidence-based decision-making, and evidence generated from evaluations are really important. And parliaments are cornerstone of using evaluation and evidence for policy making and decision making. So in that reason, it's very important that we are having these dialogues and also promote parliaments to have institutionalization of evaluation and promote evaluation within parliaments. And most importantly, Nepal is involved in this webinar because Nepal is historical in this topic. The first Nepal Parliament is the first ever parliament hosted an evaluation event in 2015 at the Nepal Parliament. And also Nepal parliamentarian was instrumental in bringing evaluation to the Nepal constitution. That is also important. At the same time, Nepal is the first country initiated national parliamentarians forums, and many other countries followed that. So Nepal has set a model for other countries as well, a good example. And when it comes to, we also have Dr. Romulo from Philippines. Philippines is also has a lot of progress in this. Dr. Romulo has worked hard on this. Both the Senate and the Philippine Congress have done a lot of work on institutionalization of evaluation. And last December, Philippine Congress led the process for Manila Declaration on Evaluation, and I see that is getting a lot of attention and promotes evaluation within parliaments through the Manila Declaration. So in this situation, I think bringing more countries to promote evaluation through the parliaments is important. That's why I see Mongolia engaging and sharing their insights in this webinar. is very important and appreciated. We can have, I think, more parliaments engaging in future. And at the same time, Ada Ocampo, our wonderful moderator, has been instrumental in the parliamentarians initiative globally, and she's the moderator today. I'm sure that we will have a great discussion. Very quickly about the partnership, I see that API is taking the lead again together with the Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation and the Asia Pacific Regional Parliamentarians Forum. At the same time, Center for Evaluation, which is from academia, and ideas. So this partnership, WOPES, academia, parliaments, parliamentarians, networks, and also I think in future we can bring governments to this partnership. This is very much needed to work with parliaments, promote evaluation through parliaments, and then also see how we can progress with using evaluation for evidence-based decision making. With this, I wish all the best for this webinar, and I'm sure we will have a very interesting and rich discussion today, dialogue, and definitely we can continue this dialogue in future webinars or future occasions. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and let's have a really great time today in this webinar. Thank you very much, and Ada, back to you.
Thanks very much, Acela. Indeed, very important, your introduction. You have framed, I have put into context the role of parliaments and parliamentarians in evaluation processes, in setting up national evaluation systems, in creating or increasing the demand for evaluation. So parliamentarians play a very important role, and this webinar is actually aimed to position even more the role of parliaments and parliamentarians. Without further ado, we will go to directly to the presenters. We have two speakers today and two case studies, as Acela has mentioned. First, we will have the presentation by Jerel Amgalan. Jerel is an independent evaluator and researcher. It's a member of the Promoting National Evaluation Systems of the Asia Pacific Regional Evaluation Strategy. After her, we will have the presentation of Dr. Sorry, I don't know what's going on here. Ramesh Paudial. He is a member of the Executive Committee of the Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation. After the presenters, we will have a discussion that has already been announced by Acela, Dr. Romul Miral, Jr. He is the Deputy Secretary General of Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department of the House of Representatives of the Philippines. Each speaker will have 10 minutes, and after that, our discussant will have 5 minutes to present key points. It is my pleasure to give the floor to Jerel Amgalan for the presentation on challenges on RBM and evaluation systems in Mongolia. Over to you, Jerel. Thank you very much. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, Ada. And let me share my screen. You see my screen?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jerel. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Ingrid. My topic is the challenges to implementing an RBM evaluation system at the national level in Mongolia. there was we have some administrative setups post the 1989 reforms aimed at the decentralization and the democratic governance, and the political landscape grew closer to Western model, and also the abandoning the centralized and authoritarian structure of the previous political regime. That time, new public management practices introduced inspired by the New Zealand's model. We started to using this model, and there was so many challenges. Some of them is issue with the performance contracting and the skill shortages. After that, we started to make some initial steps by the parliament. The parliament approved the resolution 1996 and initiated the structural changes and established rules of the different level of the government. This document is outline framework for the restructuring and reform of the Mongolian government activities and also organizational structures. It aims to enhance efficiency and also reduce government spending and adapt the management practice to democratic society and the market economy. Also, this document emphasizes the importance of the robust monitoring and evaluation function to ensure the effectiveness and efficiency of the government reforms. A many process is designed to track implementation of policies and also the measure outcomes against set of the objectives, provide feedback for continuous improvement. After that, government initiated so many resolutions and approved by the government. The first one was the 1999. They set out the procedures for the M&E implementation. Subsequent resolutions changed so many times, continued, for example, 2002, 2003, 2006, 2010, and 2013 to refine the M&E frameworks. There was so many challenges also, the persistent difficulties in implementing effective M&E systems. In the first time, we approved the law 2015, the law named the Law on the Development Policy and Planning. Also that time we approved the Sustainable Development Vision 2013. It was the 2016 approved by the democratic government. This law was revised in 2020. The one chapter in about law, the one chapter covers many of the development policies, but it covers the M&E system, but it's not good understanding regarding for the all of the concepts. And these two law changes also respectively followed by the resolutions. The first one is the 2017 and aimed at clarifying and improving M&A process. The next one is the current our guidelines. It is the approved the 2020 and recent modification aimed to refining M&A process. The most difficult issue was the problem with the concept of the definition and also performance assessment, also role of the M&A officers, also the different roles of the agency, ministry, and cabinet of the secretary. It was still same thing we are doing. The current our guidelines is covering.
Excuse me, hi Gerald. Can you make it the presenter view, the presentation?
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, now is it okay?
Yes, it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, our current guidelines covered three main things. The framework is the first one is the development policies. Second one is the ad hoc regulations. Third one is the organizational plans. I put some numbers here. This is our activity numbers. If we saw those things, we are involved in the activity trap. This is the most challenged one for us. So many activities. It's very difficult to make a monitoring and evaluation. Also, next thing is regarding for the government and parliament. Also, we are using the same guidelines. There is no different thing. what we are doing, M&E framework, we just received the text reports from the agency, ministry, and receiving it, and then we are preparing just final report based on it. We are changing just one thing. This is the performance presentation. In our guidelines, we put the 5 different presentation. One is 0, 30, 50, 70, 90, and then 100%. Just we are changing this presentation based on the performance. We are named it is the evaluation, but in international experience, it is not real evaluation. When I was holding the position of the head of the monitoring evaluation department, it's the authority of government supervisory. My team was discovered for main things. The first one is addressing the past failings, learning from the previous mistakes to improve M&E implementation. We are started from the glossary explanation, and we translated this one collaborative working with Mongolian Evaluation Association, also the merit project. Next one was the training and support, enhancing the skills and resources available to M&E officers and at all national level. Third one was the integration, bridging the gaps between planning and M&E activities, because our M&E is national level managed by the authority of government supervisory. Our planning is managed at the national level, economic and development ministry. So we have to very closely working together and to do it together. Fourth one was we tried to extending our cooperation, international organization, also non-government, civil society, and also parliament, all of them involving putting all of them in one place. What is needed for us to implementing good RBM in our organization level? The first of all, we have to, when we set the RBM, we have to tailor it to fit specific organizational context. Otherwise, we just have just one guidelines, and then we want to follow all of the agency, ministry, also the government, also the parliament. Instead of that, we have to specific organizational context. Another thing is performance measures should be linked to strategic framework and also policies. Also in our guidelines, also in our laws, we didn't mention it about the resource allocation to make a monitoring and evaluation. We need to adequate resource must be aligned with the management system. Also, when we implementing RBM at the national level, we have to start to pilot projects, not like a restricted implementation starting. In a human factors RBM implementation, evaluation culture, establishing the focus on the results. Otherwise, currently we just receiving text reports and just give a grading. Also leadership, it is in a political level, also in a high officials in government. Senior leaders must to champion RBM initiatives. Also training, continuous education and training for the step understand and implement RBM, how it's important, how it will be truly improve the citizens' livelihood. Also the communication, it's intended to the public and clear, consistent communication about the pros and benefit of the RBM, how it will be benefit for citizens, how it will be benefit for the government, such like that. The most useful part is the also previously I mentioned, when we preparing monitoring evaluation report at the national level, we just preparing report and just introduce it for the parliament, and that's it. Otherwise, there is no usage of these knowledgeable products. So future, we have to ensure the knowledge products used in a decision-making process. In case we could prepare evidence-based decision, and also its result will be improved. Another thing is evaluation and planning system should be support each other, not working separately. The third one is the regular transport reporting.
Jerel, are you okay?
Reporting of the performance result. Okay. And for the summary, the Mongolia has the very strong internal inspection during the socialist era, and then we stuck at that thing. So this internal inspection is rather than the mirror of the monitoring evaluation system. Mongolia ongoing journey to implement effective RBM and monitoring system. The importance of the continuous improvement and adaptation. The future steps to ensure the robust and effective monitoring and evaluation system based on the international experience and our current situation. Thank you, Ada.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Jerel. This was very, very interesting. Can you please stop sharing your screen? It was very interesting to learn about actually the implementation and basically the challenges that Mongolia is facing RBM and is institutionalizing RBM and evaluation systems is actually a challenge. But the aim is, as Jerel has rightly mentioned, to use the evidence produced for decision making, and that makes it worth. And we got some examples from Jerel, and we are delighted to learn them, and hopefully other countries will benefit from them and apply them as well. Thanks very much. Next, I will share my screen again.
Thank you, Ada.
Thank you. I will share my screen again. And this time I'm delighted to present Dr. Ramesh from Nepal for his presentation. And his presentation will deal with Monitoring and Evaluation Act of Nepal and the way forward. Honorable Ramesh, thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Ada, and thank you, everyone. Let me share my screen first.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Once again, greetings from Kathmandu. I'm Ramesh Podel. I was the Member of Parliament in Bagmati province of Nepal, and now I'm executive member of Asia Pacific Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation. Today, I'll discuss evaluation in Nepal in relation to the legal constitutional provisions and the way forward. The Constitution of Nepal embeds evaluation within its framework, particularly in Articles 54 and 293, which I will discuss in the next slide. Additionally, there are 3 sub-articles on evaluation and 7 sub-articles along with 2 schedules on monitoring. However, I'll not cover all of these sub-articles and schedules here. As mentioned earlier, 2 constitutional articles are significant for evaluation. The first is Article 54, which states there shall be a committee in the federal parliament to monitor and evaluate whether or not the directive principles, policies, and obligations of the state have been implemented progressively. This means that a parliamentary committee must monitor and evaluate the state's commitments to its citizens through principles, policies, and obligations. Similarly, Article 293 states the chiefs and officials of the constitutional bodies shall be accountable to the federal parliament. The committees of the House of Representatives may monitor and evaluate the functioning, including reports of the constitutional bodies other than the National Human Rights Commission, and give necessary direction or advice. This article makes constitutional bodies such as the Election Commission, the Commission for the Investigation of Abuse of Authority, and the Auditor General's Office accountable to the people through Parliament. The Monitoring and Evaluation Act 2024 of Nepal marks a significant milestone in the country's pursuit of transparent, accountable, and inclusive governance. As Nepal moves towards decentralization, the MNE Act serves as a crucial instrument guiding the way with principles of evidence-based decision-making, citizen engagement, and institutional accountability at the federal, provincial, and local levels. Since the bill was signed into law by the President in March this year, the Act is now in force. However, the government must formulate the related regulations for its full implementation. The Act sets a criteria for evaluation, expecting evaluators to thoroughly consider these aspects during their work. The first criteria is the flow of investment and tools. It is necessary to check whether the flow of investment and related tools were appropriately managed during project implementation. Likewise, another criteria is human resources, whether there is sufficient human resource to implement the project. Another one is stakeholder consultation, whether key stakeholders were adequately consulted through mechanisms such as public audits, social audits, or public hearings. Another one is achievement of expected results, whether the project achieved its expected results or not. The next one is resource management, whether the resources were received and used according to the project document, approved annual program, or timetable. The next one is project implementation, whether the project was implemented according to the approved design specifications and quality standards. The next one is implementation capacity, whether there was sufficient capacity to implement the project's goals. The next one is the next criteria is challenges and
Honor Ramesh, we cannot hear you. Honor Ramesh, can you unmute yourself? We cannot hear you all of a sudden. Can you check your audio, please? Can you check the volume of your computer, please? Honorable Ramesh, may I ask you to please log off and log in again? If you hear me, can you please log off and then log in again?
I think maybe he has some internet connection issues.
Probably, but his camera is stable. Dear colleagues, let's be patient, please. Let's wait.
Ada, he said he'll join now. He just called.
Yes,
Okay, he's joined.
yes, that's what I'm saying. He will quickly join and we will continue our webinar. Indeed, the comment says that these presentations are very interesting. In this they are, and Dr. Ramesh is there. And we will continue listening to Honorable Ramesh and then the discussant. Okay, here you go. Can you
Okay.
speak, please, so we can hear you?
I'm extremely sorry, Ada.
Okay, no, that's fine. Please continue. No problem. It happens.
Am I audible
Please,
now? Hear me?
please share your screen, and so we will be able to continue. Perfect. If you can put it in presentation mode. Excellent. Please
Yeah.
continue. I think that something happens when you start sharing your presentation. May I ask someone of the organizers to please share the presentation, and you can just say next slide. Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great.
So I
Please
stop
stop
sharing.
sharing.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you stopped sharing?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then Randy or Maduka, can you help sharing the presentation, please?
Randika will share that. Randika?
I can do that anyway. I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Mm. You stopped here, right?
Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. The Yemeni Act 2024 of Nepal marks a significant milestone in the country's pursuit of transparent, accountable, and inclusive governance. As Nepal moves towards decentralization, and Yemeni Act serves as a crucial instrument guiding the way with principles of evidence-based decision-making, citizen engagement, and institutional accountability at the federal, provincial, and local levels. Since the bill was signed into law by the president in March this year, the act is now in force. However, the government must formulate the related regulations for its full implementation. Next slide, please. The Yemeni Act has set some criteria for evaluation, expecting evaluators to thoroughly consider these aspects during their work. The first criteria is a flow of investment and tools. It is necessary to check whether the flow of investment and related tools were appropriately managed during project implementation. The next criteria is human resource, whether there is sufficient human resource to implement the project. The next one is the stakeholder consultation, whether key stakeholders were adequately consulted through mechanisms such as public audits, social audits, or public hearings. The next one is achievement of expected results, whether the project achieved its expected results. Next slide, please. The another criteria is resource management. Whether the resources were received and used according to the project document, approved annual program or timetable. The next criteria is project implementation, whether project was implemented according to the approved design, specifications and quality standards. The next one is
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, next criteria is challenges and obstacles, whether there were issues and obstacles during project implementation, and if so, what those obstacles were. And the another one is response to challenges, whether appropriate measures were taken to address obstacles, and if taken, how effective those measures were. Next slide, please. Now we have constitutional arrangements. We have an act in Nepal. Then we should be mindful about the way forward. The first thing we should do is stakeholder engagement to ensure effective implementation of the act. There must be continuous discussion and deliberations with stakeholders such as BOPs. Another one is reviving the parliamentary forum. Nepal had a country-level parliamentary forum for evaluation a decade ago, but it is currently inactive and needs to be revived. Such a forum could lobby for budget allocation for evaluation and keep the government attentive to evaluation work. And at the end, legislation and implementation. While Nepal is known for formulating legislations, acts, and regulations in various areas, effective implementation remains a challenge. Therefore, the parliamentary forums, BOPs, and other stakeholders must work together to achieve the objective of the evaluation. This is my brief presentation about Nepal's constitutional legal provisions of evaluation and the way forward. Thank you for listening, and I'm very sorry for this interruption in between. Thank you. Thank you, Ada.
Thanks very much, Honorable Ramesh, for such an interesting presentation. Nothing to be sorry about. It was just a technical issue that normally happens, but I'm sure everybody's excited with your presentation, especially you put it in a very complex context with evidence-based decision-making are not only a technical issue, but there is a need for lobby and advocacy. So the political dimension, the context that is complex where decision-making take place have been highlighted by you in a very, very interesting way. I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Romulo Miral. He is from the House of Representatives of the Philippines, and as mentioned earlier, he will be our discussant today. Mr. Romulo, very nice to see you again. You have 5 minutes, please, for your points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ada. And thank you very much to Honorable Ramesh and Jerel for that very insightful presentation. As very clear in their presentation, a national monitoring and evaluation system is a vital tool for enhancing the work of Parliament and improving governance. And it also shows that Parliament has a crucial role to play in creating the legal and institutional framework needed for an effective monitoring and evaluation system. As Gerald pointed out, however, the institutionalization and operationalization of a national monitoring evaluation system is an ongoing journey and would require continuous improvement and adaptation. And based from the presentation of Nepal and Mongolia, I noted the 4 important key learnings or points that are very critical in this ongoing journey of institutionalizing monitoring and evaluation system. First is the legal frameworks. Establishing a legal framework for monitoring and evaluation system is crucial for its sustainability. As Nepal and Mongolia have demonstrated, the importance of embedding M&E requirements in law, ensuring that these systems are not subject to political changes and remain a permanent feature of the governance landscape is very important. It's also important that the roles of the different players and the responsibilities, as well as the procedures, the standards and consistency of the reporting system is well in place, and this is promoted by this legal framework. Second is its use, particularly its integration in national planning and budgeting. Both countries have successfully integrated their monitoring and evaluation system with national planning and budgeting process. This alignment ensures that monitoring and evaluation data directly informs resource allocation and policy decision, enhancing the overall effectiveness of governance. But as they pointed out, this is actually a work in progress, as there's need for continuous capacity building and training. Investing in capacity building for parliamentarians and all those involved in the monitoring and evaluation system is essential. Training on monitoring and evaluation principles and practices equips particularly lawmakers with skills needed to interpret and use monitoring and evaluation data effectively. This capacity building must be ongoing to keep pace with the evolving best practices in monitoring and evaluation. And lastly, the engagement of public and the promotion of transparency. Making monitoring and evaluation findings publicly available fosters transparency and build trust in government institutions. Both Nepal and Mongolia have strides in promoting public access to monitoring and evaluation data and enabling citizens to hold their governments accountable and participate more actively in the democratic process. As the experience of Nepal and Mongolia illustrate, Parliament can fulfill its role more effectively, ensuring that the government remains accountable and transparent and focus on delivering results through the establishment of a monitoring and evaluation system. And through continuous government capacity building, Parliament can help a culture of evidence-based governance that ultimately leads to better outcomes for all citizens. Again, I would like to thank the presenters for their very insightful presentation. Thank you again, and good evening to all.
Thanks very much, Dr. Romulo. Very interesting points you raised, especially the one mentioning that it's important to keep governments accountable for their commitments, for their public policies, for the signature of international agreements like the Agenda 2030, and the role that parliaments are playing or can potentially play in that sense. Without further ado, let's go for the questions and answers. By the moment, I see some questions already in the chat, and I would like to ask both presenters to very briefly respond to the following question. To what extent evaluation reports assist for future planning? That is one question that I would like both to respond. The other is directly for Mr. Ramesh. So if you can go ahead with that question, please. Jerel, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. In our case in Mongolia, currently we are not using our planning, the result of the evaluation, and then future I hope we will be use it, and then it will be improving the more result-oriented planning. I think it will be directing that one.
Honorable Ramesh, would you like to ask the question?
Yes, sure. Can you come up
Council-
with the question again, Ada? What's the question?
Yes. To what extent evaluation reports assist for future planning?
Okay. In the context of Nepal, it's we have a National Planning Commission. They are authorized agency for like the periodic to formulate the periodic plans, and then they're supposed to assist all these like the reports from the past to make the future development plans. So they are doing that in the government level, and there is a the institution called Social Welfare Council. They are responsible for doing the same from the non-governmental sector like NGOs and international NGOs.
Thanks very much, Jerel. This is another question from you. It's based on your presentation, and Masam is asking how he wants to know how he or she wants to know how the scores were arrived at, the scores that you presented.
Yeah, in our guidelines, in one article, we put the 6 different presentation percent, and 0, 30, 50, and 70, 90, 100. And just based on the how is the implementation of the project and implementation of the program, and then just we read the text and then give a scoring. In my understanding, this is the very big mistake when we to do the monitoring evaluation system at the national level.
Okay, thanks very, very much. Honorable Ramesh, there are 3 questions for you. I will try to integrate them so you can take a few minutes, but perhaps not that much in responding to this. First is, what is the difference between audit and monitoring and evaluation in Nepal? Difference between audit and monitoring and evaluation. Probably be very general, because I think that the majority of us are already aware of the difference, but yeah, to pay honor to the question. The other question is, what do you think should be the roles of parliamentarians of Nepal to ensure the ownership of the act? I'll read you the third question after you respond, probably.
Yeah, shall I start?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Ada. And then the first question, I think it's the different audit, different types of audit, like social audit or financial audit or public audit. These are, and we can take these as a tool of like one of the criteria for the evaluation. So I think there can be many criteria. So in Nepal, so like we take this as one of the criteria among many, and that is what mentioned in the new act also. So I think that's clear. And the next question is quite important, like the role of parliamentarians to take the ownership of the act. I think it's very crucial that as a parliament has, I mean, its a main function is a kind of oversight function of the as a parliament. So all the parliamentarians has to be aware of this act, and then all the provisions of the act and how it is implemented in the futures. So I would say, like, not only the sitting parliamentarians, but also the parliamentarians. They can also express their opinion on it, and then through this parliamentary forum, so they can engage in the federal level as well as the provincial level also, because now we in Nepal, like we have 7 provinces, and there are in all the provinces there are parliamentarians and ex-parliamentarians, so they can also based on their experience, they can share their knowledge and impression about it. So I think it has to be all the whole parliament from the federal as well as provincial level has to be aware about it.
Yes, yes, that's actually true. If parliamentarians are involved in the process of producing the act, in the negotiations and embedding their points of view there, that can create ownership. But also, it can create ownership, the fact that they are clear about the purpose of the act, what changes it will bring. So I think that is very important. There are two other questions for you, but I will try, if you can try to be brief. It's saying, Mongolia is adopting an RBM system, and what about RBM in Nepal? Would like to know how private sector shall be engaged in monitoring of development and humanitarian projects in Nepal. Please go ahead.
Okay, about RBM, I must confess here, because I am not the what do you call it, like the professional evaluation
Technical person, yeah.
technical person. So, but still, I can tell from my observation, like there are development organizations like bilateral and multilateral organizations. They are quite strict on this, following this RBM. And then in the government level also, like there is a guideline from this National Planning Commission. They talk about this result-based monitoring. So I think it's the reality is like it's not that widespread to all the areas, but still there are some organizations who has adopted this. And the next question is what is the next question, Ada?
Yeah. How the private sector shall be engaged.
Yeah, that's again this the current act, Monitoring and Evaluation Act, has, I mean, it's more mainly focused for this government projects. But I think since the private sector is also like very important for our development, and then we should equally incorporate them also in this evaluation process. As I mentioned earlier, like in the non-governmental sectors, there are already like set practices, and then some requirements from the donor side, like the demand for this thorough evaluation of each of the projects they support. So I think in the coming days, once the act is in place and it's fully functioning, so it will be widespread to the private sector as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Before I give the floor, there is a question that I guess Dr. Romulo can answer better. There is a comment in the chat that says to conduct audits for accountability and utilize monitoring and evaluation to measure outputs, outcomes, and monitoring processes. I would like to clarify this. Yes, the person, Damodar, that is writing that is right, but probably we should enlarge a little bit. All three functions that are mentioned there, audit, monitoring, and evaluation, are accountability functions. Evaluation is also a learning function, but it's also an accountability function. So the three of them are accountability functions. However, audit looks more at compliance, to what extent the institution, the organization, etc., is complying with certain procedures, regulations, etc. And social audit goes beyond that, but still it's mainly about compliance. Whereas monitoring and evaluation, monitoring is about tracking progress towards certain outputs and outcomes, and evaluation is about analyzing comprehensively the extent to which the project, the policy, the program is progressing towards its objectives. So although they are interlinked, there are different and distinct functions. Dr. Romulo, there is a question, and we'll finalize with that. what would be the main difference you see between these two countries that presented, and even three say here, so including your country? What would be the two main difference that you would like to highlight? Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, I've seen more of similarities than differences, like in terms of direction. I think both emphasize the importance of the legislative framework, continuous capacity building, and even the results of the importance of performance indicators, like when you look at the different provisions of the law as provided in Nepal, as discussed by Honorable Rames. It explicitly talks about the importance of those performance indicators that would assess the effectiveness and efficiency of projects. So I think they're more more in the similar direction. And what I would like to add to the discussion is on the difference between auditing and evaluation, as pointed out and as also explained by Ada. I think I would like to add something to that. And this is like monitoring and auditing. And for a while, monitoring and evaluation have been focused mainly on project completion. It's not so much about the results or the higher level outcomes that, like, for example, in this case, the sustainable development goals. That's why I think the importance of results-based monitoring and evaluation is something that is that differentiated from mere auditing. Because auditing and our past experience on monitoring and evaluation before is just a focus on, mainly on project completion, on the efficient and effective completion of projects. But we know that in order to achieve our development objectives, it must go beyond project completion and look at the higher level outcomes. And that's why the importance of an integrated monitoring evaluation system is very important, because when we talk about results, it would actually involve the contribution of actually the whole of government. And when we talk about audit, sometimes audit is focused on specific departments, specific activities. But then when we talk about achieve monitoring evaluation, it's we're trying to focus on the results and that's why it's important to have an integrated system that would put together the contribution of the different interventions in order to achieve the higher level outcomes or results. So I think that this is one very important development in monitoring and evaluation, as situated with the sustainable development goals, is the focus on those outcomes and the need for an integrated approach in order to achieve and properly monitor and evaluate the achievement of these goals and outcomes. Thank you.
Thanks very much. This has been a very exciting discussion indeed. I think we should be grateful because we learned a lot. Grateful to APEA. Now it's time for a group photo. So may I ask you to please put on your cameras? Can you, colleague, please stop sharing, put on your cameras, and who can help with the group photo? And let me know when we can continue.
Yes, I will help.
Ahmed.
Okay, great. Colleagues, please put on your cameras. This is the time. Your best smile, please.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
nice to see you,
Please
Malika.
smile.
Smile.
And
Good.
the second page. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can, we will continue now. We are almost there, but we need to continue, and I will share my screen to introduce. I would like to introduce now Dr. Sachi Joshi. She is a board member of the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association, APEA, and of the Evaluation Community of India. She will provide a short summary and closing remarks of this event. Dr. Sachi, over to you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ada, for inviting me. We had an excellent session right now. We started with two presentations by our eminent speakers from Mongolia and Nepal. The presentations emphasized upon role of parliamentarians and acts and enacts in their respective countries. The Mongolian presentation highlighted steps taken in implementation of result-based management, the key resolutions by their parliament, and challenges faced in implementation of result-based management system in the country. It was also emphasized that role of continuous education and training is really of critical importance when we talk about evaluation. Then senior leaders, role of senior leaders also comes in, which is very important. Learning from previous mistakes, collaboration with various national and international organizations, NGOs, etc., was emphasized upon. Nepal highlighted that evaluation is embedded in their national constitution, and various acts and regulations are integrated in evaluation. A very significant development which has taken place in Nepal recently is passing of monitoring and evaluation bill, and the bill has now been and now is an act which is really which will be really instrumental for evidence-based planning and policy making. Among various other points, the bill ensures appropriate flow of investment, availability of human resources, and expected results, capacity for implementation of projects, etc., which are very critical for any country. The presentation also talked about importance of various stakeholders such as WOPs and bilateral and unilateral organizations, reviving role of parliamentarians at country level. Both the presentations emphasized upon, they highlighted the role of parliament and acts and enacts and regulations of the countries in evaluation is of very critical importance. So we had, in fact, wonderful presentations and which gave us a good learning experience to us. Now, on behalf of APA, I would like to thank to both speakers, Gerald Amagalan and Honorable Ramesh Paudyal, for their insightful presentations. My gratitude to discussant Dr. Romolo Amaral for providing valuable comments on the session, on the presentations. Thank you, Dr. Asela, for inspiring and opening remarks. In fact, your opening remarks set a tone for today's discussion. Thanks, Ada Ocampo, moderator, for a very well moderated session. I would like to extend my special thanks to participants of the session who not only attended the session, but actively participated and enriched the session by their discussions and asking questions. The points raised and suggestions were very valuable. I wish we will have many more such events in future. Once again, I would like to thank everyone. Thank you. Over to Ada.
Thanks very much, Dr. Sachi, for such an excellent summary and closing remarks. That is the webinar for today, National Evaluation Policies and Systems in So this is the next webinar will be on National Evaluation Policy and Systems in Bangladesh, China, and the Philippines. So we will continue learning, and this session is scheduled for August 20, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. IST. So please mark your calendars, jot it down. Thank you very much to all of you for such a rich discussion and presentations. And remember that the recording will be posted at the APEA website. have a nice rest of the day, all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye. And